Ducks fans, are you ready? You are listening to the DucksNPucks podcast. This is the #1 home for Anaheim Ducks talk and analysis. Here we go.
Welcome to the show. This is your host, Mike Walters, along with my co-host, Eddie Richard, and we have a special Christmas holiday edition of the DucksNPucks podcast. We're going to do like we normally do, cover the games. The Ducks lost some, won some, lost some more, so a little bit of a roller coaster of action that we'll get to. The Ducks made a couple moves, too. One little minor trade and kind of picked up some people and moved some people around. A lot of injuries, so we'll talk about that. A little bit of trade talk as well. And then some league news to finish it off. But before we get to that, how are you doing, Eddie? We're coming up here on Christmas. You got all your shopping done?
No, I haven't. I'm one of those last-minute people. You know what? I actually forgot it was Christmas, so like my whole mind has been like not like in the Christmas spirit. Today, accomplishment. I hit my new personal record of 7 consecutive days of working out. Started going to the gym a lot more. Hit the gym. I played hockey too, and just today's day 7, so like my mind's fried. But I'm doing pretty well with all things considering. Just trying to be healthier, get back in the gym, a daily routine, and just kind of enjoying life. I went to that In My Fields concert in LA last weekend. That was pretty fun. I went with my buddy. I have to give a shout out to LAPD. The way they enforced it, the way that the traffic control, real professional. The questions I had, because like this is my first time ever being at the Galaxy Stadium. They were all polite. Their shoes were polished. They looked good. It was good. Kudos to them. Shout out. I know they get a bad rep a lot in the media because the media likes to show them as the bad guys, but they were really, really cool guys. There was one beautiful girl I wanted to marry. I went to her and confessed that I jaywalked, tried to get a court date with her. That didn't work. No, but yeah, it was overall good. I've been having a good time. I'm just ready for this Christmas just to get over with and move on with the year and go from there.
I hear you. Yeah, we're almost done. We're hosting, so plenty of stuff that we're getting done and wrapped up. So we're almost there. So
well, what about you, Mike? It's been a couple weeks since we've been talking on the podcast. I feel like I haven't talked to you in years already.
I know. Just I've been like sick on and off. Unfortunately, I probably sound a little nasally right now. But that's really it. Just trying to get everything ready around the house for the show. For having all the family over and whatnot, and then that's really it. I've just been kind of working and resting in between. I just kind of been in and out of it. So that's really it. Nothing really super exciting. Just watching the games and watching this craziness unfold, Eddie.
So what are you going to buy yourself for Christmas? That's the most important thing I want to ask.
I don't know. I haven't bought myself anything yet, so I don't know. I'll have to figure it out. Maybe I don't know, some Ducks gear or something.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I'm trying to buy myself a new car, but that's hell. I want to buy a new car for Christmas for myself. It's that time already. But it's so stressful shopping for a new car. And then I had a MK Chevrolet Chino Hills excessively call me. I put in an inquiry about an Audi that I was wanting to test drive, and I just get phone call after phone call after phone call, annoying, harassing phone calls. I finally had to talk to someone today, a general manager, like, look, I would have considered you guys and would have went in for a test drive, but just the way that you guys came at me with 11 phone calls in the last week and a half, not to mention the 2 text messages, and I want to say like 6 emails, I'm like, no, hell no. It's just, you know what? I'm at the point right now because my buddy's really good at negotiating and stuff. I might just pay him a case of beer or give him some money to negotiate a deal for me. I just got to find the right car. I'm real picky and stuff. It's been, since 2013 when I bought my Scion when I was stationed in Texas. So it's like I really have an emotional attachment to that car. But yeah, so I gotta just suck it up. So I'll probably buy myself a Slurpee for Christmas and just call it a day.
Well, one thing we did have happen too in this last break is somebody hacked our. Well, I shouldn't say hacked, but they created another Instagram account. They called it DucksNPucks, and we were doing the giveaway of the autographed Grant jersey, and they were contacting all our followers, getting them to follow them, and they're trying to give away the jersey, and that was a kind of a nightmare for a couple days I was trying to deal with because A lot of people were messaging us on the account, asking us if this other account was us. And it kind of delayed, honestly, us doing the giveaway for a little bit because, all these people thought they had won because this person was contacting them all and then asking for all their personal information. Like some complete a-hole, man. I hate that. You hear about that stuff all the time, and here we are. We got victim. I mean, I didn't hear anybody get their stuff. They didn't give their info. It sounded like everybody that contacted us didn't, but I was just really annoyed. I had to deal with that for a couple days, Eddie.
Oh, I bet. And be very, very careful. I got my certifications in cybersecurity, so I have a little bit of expertise on what these I'm going to call them assholes do to try to get your information and stuff like that. So just be really, really careful. Check the following. Ducks and Pucks is not going to have 500 followers just out of nowhere. We're not going to lose all our followers. So just be really careful. Look at the spelling. Check things. When in doubt, contact Mike. Contact myself, and I'll contact Mike. And not just for Ducks and Pucks either. If you guys find like emails from Amazon, your credit card, your bank, just be really vigilant and be really just paranoid. If you have to call your bank. Don't call the numbers provided. Just call your bank, go into the bank, show someone. Or hell, just if you're really that spent on it, just walk into your local police department and just make sure to pick their brain and check that. Because there's a lot of assholes out there trying to steal your hard-earned money, and they don't deserve that.
Yeah, I mean, it was annoying, and that's what they did is they used our logo and just changed the spelling. So, sorry about that, folks, but I mean, we did get that account booted off, and we were able to give away the jersey, so it all worked out, thankfully. Well, let's dig into the games. Just remind you that we're part of the Old City Sports Network. One of their sponsors is Norse Beards. You can check them out at norsebeards.com. Use the code OCS to get 25% off their grooming products. All right, so with the Ducks, what a mess. They lost 3 games in a row recently. They played the Sharks, the Senators, and the Leafs. And, man, the end of the Leafs game, I was extremely upset. But the Ducks had one game at home to finish since we did our last show. They played the Sharks. Then they had 5 games on the road. And not really much to say about the Sharks game. I mean, it was 1-0 at the end of the first period. Then they kind of got knocked out after that. You had Stolars that had to come in. You had Carrick fighting in there too towards the end. Not really much to say about this game. Just overall terrible performance. I guess just the funny part to it, if it is funny, but the 2 brothers played, right? You had Jason and Jacob Megna squaring off. The Ducks had claimed Jason off waivers. And it was funny seeing them together because Jacob is way taller than Jason. So I ended up posting that photo of twins with Arnold and Danny DeVito because they were almost standing the same way, Eddie. And I just, a lot of people laugh. That's the only thing I could take away from this game that was even worth anything. Because I mean, this is one of the worst games the Ducks had played this season.
Oh yeah, it has to be against the Sharks too. I think the only thing that made it tolerable, that gift that you jump out the window, was you posting that. That was the funniest thing I've seen. Once I saw it, I literally was laughing out loud. It wasn't just an LOL I put. No, I was I couldn't believe you did that. I was just funny. It's just, see, when things like that come to your mind, you run with it. How creative it is. It's funny as hell. But yeah, that was the only good thing about that game. We can move forward about that. And you know what? P.S. Screw the Sharks.
Yeah, that game was bad. And then this kind of started too. So the Ducks are losing. We talked about them playing the Senators on the last show, how it was a revenge game. Get up for them. Let's beat them. And no, nothing worked in this game. They got down early with a goal in the first 5-6 minutes. Then another goal in the power play. They were down 2-0, and they gave up another power play goal in the third period. I was really frustrated with this game. You had Dostal had to come up, right, because Gibson wasn't feeling well. You also had Stolars ended up getting hurt, so the Ducks started rolling with Dostal basically this last week or so, and and we'll get to Dostal. A lot of questions that you guys asked and how he's playing. I thought he played great, but it was just bad. I mean, they had 5 shots on goal in the opening period. I mean, what are you guys doing? That's unacceptable. And you left your goalie out to dry on a 3-on-0 rush. And, he did stop it at the end of the second period. But this is just rough, man. This game, 3-0. I mean, obviously not as bad as the Shark game, losing 6-1, but you and I have talked about this, Eddie, about having that passion and whatnot, and I felt like it was lacking this game, and it was frustrating because I thought Dostal himself played great, but the team in front of him just wasn't really there.
Yeah, it's just I get it, the tanking, and I'm all with it. Like these Ducks are rebuilding, and I keep saying that there's gonna be a light at the end of that tunnel, and this team's gonna be a badass team. But I figured you want some more revenge for against the Senators, and also with Dostal coming in playing his the first start of the season, like have his back, get him that early dub. And you didn't. You didn't show up to play at all. It's just I don't know what was going on. There's no sense of urgency to get those wins. I get it. Maybe you're tanking. I know players don't like to, or people don't like to talk about that. I know. I would hope that players don't like to have that in their mind, which I think hockey players don't because they're so competitive. But at least have some kind of sense of urgency to get some important wins or revenge wins. One thing about Dostal too, I wanted to share with you guys, if you guys didn't know, Dostal was the first goalie in goals history to score an empty net goal, and he became the 17th goalie in AHL history to do that. So that's a little fun fact about Dostal. So I think he played decent. He played well, or no, he played well in this game. He just didn't have any support from his team.
Yeah, exactly, and it's just rough, and the injuries are just getting crazy with this team right now. I mean, if you're for the tanking, it's helping you. But you had Henrique had got hurt in the first period of this game. He came back. You had Jones go out, and then you go into this next game against the Leafs. Jones is out there for warm-ups. He can't go, so the Ducks have to go with the 11-7 lineup. They had to go with that a lot during this stretch just because they just didn't have the players. And then you even had Gibson get started in this game. He was feeling sick, but then he comes in this one. Then he gets hurt. He goes out. Dostal had to come in, and I think there's really not a whole lot to say about this game either. This was probably the worst game, if not one of the worst games, and the Ducks got blown out 7-0, Eddie.
Yeah, it was just it was bad. Gibson played decent, and it was cool when Gibson was in there. I liked his play, but the Ducks just didn't show up to this game either. It's like I don't know what is going on. I would say they deserve to be in the AHL, but they probably would have got blown up too, the way they played this game. So it's just, and you know what pissed me off about this game too? I know I'm like probably going out of the whole topic stuff, but Matt Murray wasn't even in net, and I have him for one of my fantasy teams that I paid to play. So not like that. That's weird, but yeah, and Matt Murray wasn't even in net, so that's what pissed me off more. But this game was rough to watch. The Ducks they had nothing going on with them. They were just. I think the best player they had was Gibson, and then he went out, and that was it. They got just destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This game, I really thought too that I don't know. I was just thinking about Dallas Eakins, and I was like, oh man, is he gonna get fired? Because we were talking about it. We were like, hey, they have to have a lot of bad games and lose, and they lose 6-1 to Sharks, they lose 3-0 Senators, 7-0 to Leafs. I'm like, oh man. We got 2 more games on this trip. How's this going to go? And then this roller coaster we're talking about, the Ducks, they go for the dump. They take on the Canadiens, and then they play one of their best games. They beat Montreal 5-2. Dostal starts again. They had to go to the 11-7 lineup, but the Ducks built a lead for once. They gave it away. Montreal came back, but then the Ducks scored again, and it went on to win this one 5-2. I was really shocked because I thought, man, if they lose to Montreal, what's going to happen? And instead, they turned in one of their best performances, Eddie.
Oh, I know. And then Klingberg came to play too. He scored the 2 goals. He's showcasing right there. Oh, everyone look at Klingberg. He's tearing it up now. Not tearing it up, but he had those 2 goals. So yeah, it's kind of weird how it comes. They come with the Senators. They come with Toronto. They don't score a goal. They get completely blown out and then come and beat the Canadiens. So I'm glad they did. I still can't see Eakins getting fired. Well, I guess we'll talk about that later in the show. But yeah, it felt good to see the Ducks win, even though I'm all for the tank and them losing and being that bottom so we can get that first overall. But it does feel good to watch the team win sometimes.
Yeah, and this one was like a decent game too. It wasn't, like a lucky win. Like you had Terry scoring on the power play. Klingberg back in the lineup and actually scoring. And then you see Montreal gets back in it, but the Ducks didn't, collapse, because that's usually what happens. Instead, Klingberg gets another goal. They have that 3-2 lead, and then obviously, they get those insurance markers late in the game. But actually, a decent game overall, the way that they played. Surprisingly, and they look good. For this team, finally like a decent win. And then they had the Oilers after that. Again, like we said, Dostal in there, another 11-7 lineup. And this game a little bit different, but the Ducks also built a 2-goal lead in this one. They got down early 1-0. You thought, okay, they might just wilt away. No, Ducks score 3 in a row in this game. And Edmonton doesn't go away. They come back. They get back-to-back power play goals. And it's a 3-3 game. And you think, crap, the Ducks are screwed. No, Klingberg scores. They go up 4-3, and they end up winning this one. So they had 2 games back-to-back where they were up by 2 goals, gave up the leads, and still went on to win. The one against the Canadiens obviously was a much more solid effort. The one against the Oilers, holy crap, I mean, they really had to hang on in that third period, whereas in Montreal, they took it to the Canadiens, pretty much, most of the game. The Edmonton one, I mean, that last 20 minutes was, it was scary. After they got that goal to make it 4-3, there was about 14 minutes left. And, I mean, good Lord, they had to lean on Dostal so much in that game because there was 49 shots on goal. And he ends up saving 46 of them, which is the third most by a rookie this season. Just crazy. Happy that they won, but this one was definitely not a pretty win.
Yeah, Mike, maybe you could edit this later, but I think you're mistaken on these notes. You said Ducks edge Oilers. I think you meant to say Dostal edge Oilers because there was no really Ducks coming in there. Dostal played his ass off. The best game that we've seen him, and if we got a small sample size on what this goalie is going to be, that's freaking awesome. Like, just the way he plays, he stood on his head. We've seen his capabilities now against this Oilers team. Oilers have, I want to say, arguably 2 of the best players in the world playing on their team, and they came in with everything they gotten. They were shooting everything but the kitchen sink at him, and he stood on his head, and he's the reason why they got this win. It wasn't the Ducks win that night. It was Dostal's win. I do want to congratulate, too, Sam Carrot getting his first goal of the season, and also Magna on his first point as a Duck. But, yeah, this was the whole Dostal show, and there was really no one else there to help. Yes, yeah, we had the scoring, but the defense just wasn't there to help him out. Like, come on, you're getting your ass just handed to you. Like, 23 shots in the third period to 2. Like, what are you doing? That's just absolutely nuts. But I'm glad that he showed everyone what he can do. And like I said, we have a small sample size of him. This goalie is something special, and I'm glad the Ducks have him. And I'm looking forward to seeing what else he can bring to the team.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I almost did change the title, too, of the recap. I almost said, I almost put, Ducks, quote, Dostal, or Dostal, quote, Ducks, edge Oilers, because you're right. I mean, this game was 49-17 shots. That's ridiculous. I mean, and the Ducks got, 4 goals out of those 17 shots. I mean, yeah, they got lucky to get this win for sure, and Dostal was the reason. They also, this game could have maybe gone to overtime, too, because the Oilers did have another goal in this game, and it was taken away with goalie interference, which I was curious to see what they were going to do. And the Oilers are probably upset about that, Eddie. They're probably thinking, oh, Ryan Kessler, he interfered with our guy and they didn't call it. And now here they call an interference on them. So I bet there's a little salt in the wound on this loss for them.
Oh yeah, Kessler was always gonna live rent free in their head. And the fact that he played for Vancouver too, it's probably gonna piss him off even more. But you know what? I'm glad the Ducks got a win. I think the Oilers are one of those teams too, where I know I'm all with the tank, but the Sharks, the Wild, the Oilers, the Kings, I want them to get wins from. But I mean, obviously they didn't get a win against the Sharks, but I'm glad they got a win. I'm glad Dostal got them a win against the Oilers.
Yeah, and then a weird bit of scheduling. The Ducks finished off the road trip in LA and then played the Wild at home. And, they lost both these games 4-1. They're very similar games where they played well or decent in the first 30 minutes, but then didn't play as well in the second half of the games. Dostal was in net for both, which I thought was kind of interesting. I would have liked to see Eriksson Ek in net the second game so he could go against his brother. It would have been a great storyline, but they didn't do that. And these games are just rough. I felt the one against the Kings, they were almost tied at the end of two, gave up that late goal, kind of a momentum swing, and then the Kings got another one in the beginning of the third, and I think that pretty much just ended it for them. And then with the Wild, they were tied at the end of two, gave up 2 quick goals in the third, and that was the end of it there. So they didn't play great in these games. I felt like they played okay in the beginning, but once the other teams pulled away, then it was just game over at that point in both these games. And they took too many penalties in both these games. The penalties were just driving me nuts in these games. They had in the game against the Kings, they had 5 power plays. And in the game against the Wild, they had 6 that they had given to Minnesota. So not good discipline in these 2 games, Eddie.
Oh, no, definitely not. And you're right. Like, these games kind of mirrored each other. It seemed like it was similar, games the Ducks played. Justin Kirkland got called up. That's awesome. I'm glad Costco let him go. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty bad. I'm just playing. No, it just... it seemed like the Ducks had this against the Kings. They were playing well. Kings have been playing pretty decent. They've been having some goaltender issues. That's why they sent Cal Peterson down to the A. But then Copley comes up, and he's been playing lights out. The battle of, I want to call the battle of the third-string goalies. I think Copley just had that one bad game where he let up 5 or 6 goals, and he's been playing lights out for the Kings and getting them wins. He kind of temporarily took over the starting spot from Jonathan Quick. And one of those goalies like that, like a journeyman, I like to see, even though he's a Kings player, I like to see that. Just someone working their ass off and earning that. He got called up because Cal Peterson just wasn't doing it, and he got called up just, I guess, to back up Jonathan Quick and ends up taking kind of temporarily the starting role. So that's kind of good to see. And then I do want to shout out Kevin Fiala's goal. That goal was pretty much top notch. And there's nothing Dostal could have done to that with that, but that was a pretty good goal. But it sucks to lose to the Kings. I just didn't want to respond to people that were messaging me, because I have a lot of friends that are Kings fans, a lot of guys I play hockey with that are Kings fans. So just one of those things where you shouldn't have lost to the Kings. You know what sucks about the schedule too? Why did it wait so long for the Ducks and Kings to play? Ignite this rivalry again, get them going. It's too soft. It's like these guys are just gonna just give each other flowers after the game. Come on, playing tummy sticks or whatever.
Yeah, I don't understand that either, because the other thing is they're only playing 3 times this year, which is weird, because a lot of times, it'd be 4 or 5 games. I remember way back when they had a lot of the games scheduled in the division, and they would play the Kings 6-7 times a year, along with the Sharks and the other teams. So, yeah, very weird. And I didn't really feel much of a rivalry again in this game. Yeah, there's some jawing back and forth and hits here and there, but not like we've seen in the past. But it just, just rough. The Ducks, like I said, both these games, they were tied, halfway through these games or right up to the end of the second period, and then they just fell apart in the third period. The one thing I didn't like in the Wild game was not only the whole goalie thing. I don't know why. Give Eriksson Ek his chance. I mean, you gave Costco his chance, right? I didn't like that, but I didn't like what Aikens did with the lineup. You played the Kings the night before, and then he mixed up all the lines. He mixed up the top 3 lines. He split up Zegras and Terry. He had people all over the place. Because even though they were tied in that first period against the Wild, they didn't really get a lot of shots. That was one thing. They weren't getting a lot of chances going. They didn't let the Wild score either, but they were outshot 9-4 in that first period. And they just really could not get sustained pressure. And then Dallas switched the lineup back to similar to what we had seen before. And then I thought the Ducks, played pretty decent in the second period. They got that first goal, McTavish on the awesome breakaway. But then Minnesota came back. I think what was unfortunate is there was a goal in there that Dostal gave up, and I think he wanted back that went off his glove, that, he had a piece of it, and he could have stopped it. But ended up giving them the advantage there, and then they ended up getting a power play goal too and going ahead there. So I think there's one goal that Dossel could have stopped, but overall, I mean, the way he's played in this stretch of games has been fantastic. So kudos to him. But yeah, it's just weird. It's been a roller coaster. You saw them lose these 3 games so bad, then they play well against Montreal. They don't play so well against Edmonton and win. And then you have these 2 games where they play kind of so-so in the beginning, and then they fall apart in the third, Eddie. It's just, I don't know. I guess the Ducks are like a box of chocolates. You just don't know what you're going to get every night.
I love movies, so that's a good quote. You know what? This team is just... And I know we have a fan question about our head coach, so I'll reserve my comments until we talk about that fan certain question about him. But it's just, this team is really bad. Like, I know we had a fan question a few shows ago about, are the Ducks going to be like the St. Louis Blues? Are they going to just like turn it around? They fire the coach or something? Absolutely not. This team has no fire, no spark in them. If you go to a fireworks stand and buy one of those sparklers, that's probably more of a spark than the Ducks have, what I've seen so far this season. So I wouldn't go and take that 30,000 to 1 odds on the Ducks winning the Pacific or the Stanley Cup. It's just they haven't really been here, and the whole storyline too. I tweeted out to Michael Russo of the Athletic, which he's probably one of my favorite writers, even though he writes for the Wild. Eriksson Ek should have got that start. Like why put Dosto back to back? You have a good storyline there. You're a crap team right now. Let's see what this kid had. Like a fourth-string goalie comes in, he lights it up. That's a good storyline. Brother against brother. Brother's on a breakaway. Brother saves it. It's just like, come on. Like there's not a lot of stuff in Ducksland to be happy about. So just give us a little bit something where we can smile about or have that good little positive storyline.
Yeah, I agree, and that brings us to our next segment where we'll talk about the Ducks. We'll go over all the stuff that's been going on lately with the team. A lot of you had fan questions. Eddie brought up some of them. We'll dive into those too. So the situation with the Ducks now it's rough. I mean, you've got Gibson and Stolarz out now. You've got Dossel that's playing every start, and just like Eddie said, yeah, you had a perfect opportunity to have Eriksson Ek in there against Minnesota. They did not do that. You have Jones and Grant are now out as well, and it's been rough. One thing that was kind of interesting too during this time is there was talk. Teemu was on Twitter talking about Eli Toivonen, Finnish player, went down on waivers on recently, and it was kind of funny. He made a comment about hoping that the Ducks would get him. So I shot him a text like, what do you think about it? And he actually was like, oh, I already talked to the team. I gave him the rundown. He said he gave him like a kind of a snapshot of what this guy's done and how great he would be, and so then it was kind of interesting. He thought, well, maybe they'll go kind of pick him up. I mean, you picked up Magna, right? This guy seems like he's more of an offensive threat, and then he didn't get picked up, and so it was kind of like okay, and he fell all the way to Seattle, which was a shock, and then I texted Teemu, let him know, and he texted me back, Eddie, fuck. And that's it. He didn't say anything else. He just texted me the F word. I was like, oh man, Teemu's pissed off, man. Like, because he really talked to the team and like he had like a quote scouting report he told me on him and everything. And so they didn't go get this guy. He's mad. And then the Ducks do this little 3-way trade and they bring back Del Zotto and everybody's like, oh yeah, whatever. So that's kind of where we're at. But the Ducks didn't get the forward. And they brought in Del Zotto, and that's kind of where we're at right now, Eddie.
Yeah, I made a graphic for that guy, too. I really thought the Ducks were going to pick him up. They're dead last that time, so they're first in the waiver wire. I know someone commented on Twitter saying that, they picked up someone on waivers, so they go to the back of the list. It doesn't work that way. It's just the waiver wire works is whoever's last gets the first pick, and it goes up from there. So I was literally surprised that Ducks didn't take a chance on him. He has a lot of upside, and there's no really, downfall for him, or even take a chance and he starts lighting it up, give him some more minutes, use him as trade bait. I don't understand the Ducks' logic and what they're thinking about that. It's just really puzzling to me. I almost thought it was Murray back in the GM spot, just having too much whiskey or something, but damn. But you know what? I know how it's been, like, this whole like negative stuff about the Ducks. I do want to give a shout out to Solani though. I woke up last Monday to a nice little message from him. I posted on Twitter because I know I had some rough times ahead, and I was like dealing with some stuff, and I just wasn't in the right place. And I finally I'm in the right place and state of mind, body, and soul with how I'm doing. And I posted that tweet, and I get a message from him just saying he's glad I'm doing. That he was glad I'm doing well and everything, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. So that was that really lifted my spirits up right there and fired me up. And that just like attests to what he is as a professional athlete. Like, he's not just a professional athlete. He's just, this guy really cares about people. I think he's one of the greatest people in the world. And like I said, he's one of my favorite. He is my top favorite and best professional athlete ever in the world.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And yeah, that's why I hit him up when I saw his little message too. And it's cool that he talked to you as well. And then when he texted me the F word, I was like, I'm just gonna leave him alone. I'm not gonna bug him after this point. I'm like, he's gonna be like, what the hell, dude? Like, so he was frustrated. So
yeah, like, what's the whole logic of that? Like, why not pick him up, Mike? Like, it just doesn't make any sense at all. Like, you have the opportunity. If he doesn't work out, put him on waivers. Someone else will pick him up. Seattle would have picked him up. They picked him up. Like, why not give him a chance to see what he has? Like I said, if you don't want to keep him for long term, trade bait come trade deadline. It just, like, I don't know what was going on with the Ducks, with the management, the GM. Like, why not? And I that's one thing I would ask if I could. Like, why didn't you pick him up? Like, I know he doesn't owe anyone explanations of what he's doing. That's his business. He's a GM, but it's like, okay, what's your mindset? Is your mindset full 100% tank? Cool. Let us know. I know the New York Rangers years ago got a lot of shit because their GM posted a letter to their fans and their season ticket holders saying, you know what? Right now, we're shutting it down. We're going to go full rebuild. We're not going to be competitive. And everyone gave them crap about that. But you know what? I think that's the right thing to do. And they let their fans know what's going on. And I like that line of, like, the whole communication from it. But you not picking up, I still can't even try to think of an excuse why they didn't pick him up.
yeah, two things. One is, at the time, I'm pretty sure the roster had 23 players on it. So that could have been an issue, but that's still not really, because even if you picked him up, you could have sent someone that was waiver exempt down, and the Ducks didn't do that. Could have been an option on there for that. And then as far as I forgot, you mentioned you had another point in there I wanted to get. Oh, as far as the waivers too. Yeah, whoever's talking about the waivers, they don't reset. So if you're last and you claim someone on waivers, and 2-3 days later you're still last and you put in a claim, you're still first. So it's the reverse order on that day of the standings, and it doesn't matter if you had 50 waiver pickups or 0. So it's just that's how it works. It's just reverse order by your record. So yeah, but yeah, I'm with you. And then they go out and do this triple trade and get Del Zotto, and then more people are like, what the hell is this? They end up sending Daniel Regan to Detroit, and they get him. And this one, it made a little bit more sense when he thought about it. I think it's more of a depth move. They did it also before the trade freeze. As you guys all know, this week there's no trading. Most moves you can't do other than some emergency things and whatnot. So not till the 28th can they make trades. But they did this right before. And I think it was a depth move because if they trade Klingberg, depending on what the team's at, they don't necessarily need to get a defenseman in return, unless something changes. Also, Del Zotto is known to the team, is I think another reason. But a little thing in here too that I think is interesting, maybe foreshadows, maybe not. It could be a big nothing, but you have Yzerman and Verbeek working on this trade, doing this right. So, not saying that another trade will happen down the road, but the line of communications are definitely open between these two guys, Eddie.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I guess you could say too, when people talk about future considerations, maybe this is part of it. But you know what? I like Del Zotto coming back to the Ducks. He's one of those guys in the locker room that you want. I know he's a fitness nut. I've heard that on that Spit and Chicklets podcast. They're talking about him. He's one of those people that they're going to elevate your locker room. That's going to get everyone going. He's a pretty good DJ too. If you guys during the quarantine didn't follow him on his Instagram, he was mixing it up. So If the Ducks are looking, no, Ducks aren't looking for someone. They have a great guy with DJ Jojo over there. But yeah, you know what? This move was confusing. Everyone got pissed off, but it makes sense, and I'm glad that he came back to the Ducks. Came back in California. It seems like it's something that he likes too, and the Ducks like having him. I'm all for it. And Mike, your whole breakdown of the trade, it was perfect. It was great, and you made a lot of points. If you guys didn't read his breakdown, I suggest you go and read it because he really hit a lot on the markers, and it really made sense to people that were talking about, like, saying it didn't make sense. But Mike, you really broke it down and analyzed his trade really well.
Yeah, because it seemed like a small trade, and it was like, oh, they did this trade. Yeah, they did it before the trade freeze. Okay, but then you had to think, okay, what are they trying to do here, right? And this will go into some more trade talk stuff in a little bit here. But it just made sense to add some depth defensively, because if you're for sure going to trade Klingberg, which, I mean, we don't know for sure, but we all talk about it, and now he's playing better, which is helping. You might not want to have to get a defenseman back. Now maybe you can work those options out. I mean, we know Drysdale's out. He's not going to come back at all, or maybe not till the end of the season. But you don't have to worry about that as far as if the team, this is a similar situation. Obviously, things can change. But yeah, check out the article. It's on there. I really went into it and talked about a lot of different angles with this trade. It seemed like a minor trade, but it was and it wasn't. I mean, we discussed it at length here, but I'm really curious to see too if the Ducks do anything with Detroit down the road. So,
well, we have Dylan Larkins at UFA, and rumors have it that he's not going to return to Detroit for some reason. I wouldn't mind having him center or first line center or second line center. He'd be a good person to have. That just like popped in my mind just like spontaneously. So like next show I'll do some more research on him and give you more stats and then what he can bring to the team. But that was just like one of the players when you mentioned Detroit that popped in my mind.
Yeah, and I wouldn't rule out Detroit and the Ducks, at the deadline or in the next month or so. So I think about it because obviously those two are talking. So I think that's a big thing. We got a lot of fan questions, so we'll just dive into them because they all relate to the team and trade stuff, and then we'll go briefly talk about the goals in the World Juniors and then league news. But don't forget, we're the Old City Sports Network podcast. Another sponsor they have, if you like beef jerky, is righteousfelon.com. You can go on there and get 15% with OCSN discount. And also, they have a lot of sponsors. I might not name all of them on the show, but if you check in the description box of the podcast, they're listed on there with all the codes. So there's a lot of good sponsors on there from Old City Sports Network.
Yeah, I love beef jerky too, so I'm all for it. Like beef jerky is my beef jerky and Hershey's, that Hershey's chocolate with nuts has been my kryptonite. Like I've been trying to eat healthier and be better, but I'll go to the gas station, I'll see that, and like it's an addiction. I can't stop it. It's like, oh, grab the Hershey's or grab that beef jerky. I have to eat it. So I need to try that, and I'll probably order it and I'll try it on the next show live, and I'll tell you how I like it. But I'm real plain though. I like just barbecue, teriyaki, just regular beef jerky. I hate spicy crap, so it's just not gonna work if it's spicy for me.
I'm with you too. I'm a big jerky fan too. I'll get it at the gas station too, but I'm with you. I stay away from the spicy stuff. All right, so we got a lot of fan questions, a couple about the team, and a lot of trade kind of stuff. And the coach Eddie alluded to. We'll just dive into it. We got a bunch. We had Stephen Murphy asked us a lot on Facebook. He asked us what we thought about Dostal's role this last week or week and a half now. Do we think he'll get a bigger role? And do we think one of the other goalies will be traded? So, I mean, Dostal, I think, honestly, I thought he got overutilized in these last two games. I don't think he should have played in that game against the Wild back-to-back. But I think, yeah, I mean, you've got Stolarz now on the IR, and we don't really have much information on Gibson. He's just been out. He was sick and then injured, and we don't know what's going on with him. So I think for the time being, yeah, we're going to see a lot of Dostal at least in the next month or so, because if Gibson and Stolarz both aren't healthy, or even if only one is, Dostal's going to be the guy. So I liked his performance. He had a 904 save percentage. Goals against was 366, which I don't really look at that too much, given the defense in front of him. But he was doing good with his advanced stats as far as not giving up as many goals as the team was projected to give up, or he was projected to give up. He was kind of under that in some of these games. So I like what I've seen. And I only saw that one bad goal against the Wild where he got a glove on it, but kind of misjudged it or misplayed it. Other than that, I think he's been spectacular in net, and I really think he's here to stay the rest of the season unless Stolarz and Gibson are both healthy, or like Steven talked about, one of them gets traded. We've talked about that. We've talked about both Gibson or Stolarz being traded. So it's interesting to see what kind of direction, because you have Gibson in his contract, and Eddie and I have talked about this before. You're going to roll with Gibson and fill out his contract, or are you going to trade him, try to get some assets, and go with Dostal and Stolarz? What are you going to do? I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily a goalie controversy yet, because those guys are out, but it almost takes me back in time to when we had Gibson, Anderson, and Hiller, and that was just a complete cluster in net with those three. And it was Stolarz and Gibson healthy, and if Dostal's playing the way he is, then we might have a legit goalie controversy in net, Eddie.
Michael, these are Anaheim Ducks fans. It's always a goalie controversy regardless. We could have that emergency backup goalie. That would cause a controversy. Like, holy crap. I think the only bad game I've seen from him play, but it it wasn't his fault, because like the Ducks weren't there at all, was a game against Toronto when he let in those 5 goals on the 10 shots. But he's been playing outstanding. I think he's really proved to everyone that he doesn't belong in the A anymore. He's ready for at least a backup role come up. The whole thing is Stolarz hasn't played well. He played well the first few games, and that was like the highest value you would have had to trade him. But the last few games he played before he had his injury, he played like crap, and you're not going to get anything for him. I'm kind of like hit or miss. Like, it's just I'm like, I don't know what to do with him. I want him to stay up and back up Gibson, but I don't want him to get into bad habits of what this team is. But then send him down, and the goals aren't doing it better either. If I were the GM right now, I'd probably try to trade Stolarz, see if you have a team that needs it, which right now there's no teams that need that secondary goalie or that depth in net, it doesn't seem like. I mean, just waive him, send him down to San Diego. Maybe he regains some form, like Brissant is that Vegas did, and he had a shutout. I believe his name Player of the Week or something last week. He's regaining his form. Maybe Stolarz can be sent down, use it for trade bait for a team that needs that depth in net, and keep Dostal up and let him back up Gibson, because he actually he's proving that he belongs in the NHL, and it's just the games that we've seen him play, especially the one in Edmonton. It's like, no, he's too good for the A, and let's give Eriksson Ek some more starts over there in San Diego, see what he has and what we have in net. Like, maybe one day we'll have a controversy. It's going to be Dostal and Eriksson Ek.
Yeah, I'm with you. So as far as him getting a bigger role, Eddie and I feel the same way. Talking about too having another bigger role. Steven asked a question about McTavish too, about him playing greatly lately and getting more ice time. And what do we think about his development? And I think McTavish has done great. He's the third leading scorer on the Ducks now, 5 goals and 14 assists, and he's coming along. A great goal that other night against Minnesota on the breakaway, fantastic. The power play is starting to the power play's not been great, but at least now they're starting to score more so on it and to be a little bit more consistent. They had him and Zegras swap flanking spots on the power play with Terry and Henrique in front of the net there, and Fowler on the point, and we've seen him get in some action there and getting some goals. And he's also finding players and whatnot in open slots to score, like you mentioned, Carrick getting that goal, and he found him in that open spot in this last week or so of games. So I like what McTavish is doing overall. I think he's not flashy as much as like Zegras, so maybe you don't notice all the things that he does, but I think overall he's got a great game, Eddie. I mean, as far as passing and scoring, being able to check, hit people hard, and then just ice awareness. everything I've seen from him, I've just liked it so far, and I think he can just only go up from here.
Oh, he's special. He is special. That pass he made to Carrick, and Carrick, like shout out, Carrick was calling it, but he made that move and that pass. He was the reason why Carrick got that goal. And McTavish, yeah, I know it was hard on him in the last show because like I wanted him to show that more physical force, especially when someone attacks your goalie against the Wild. But his development has been great so far. I have no complaints from him. He's so smart on the ice, and then his maturity level for how young he is too. It's crazy. I've seen a lot of people like talk about him being the next captain of the Ducks. Like that could be a possibility, just the way he is. His interviews that he gives too. This kid is something special, and I'm glad the Ducks have him. And I think his development's great. I think he ranks number 4, tied for 4th amongst rookies in points. It's not about points though. It's about everything else he does on the ice. I like to see, and I'm glad to see him finding his game from the start of the season to now. He's only going to get better and better and better. And like our GM said on that Duckstream podcast that Alexis Downey hosts, is that come January, most of these rookies will find their game and they'll play better. And I think after January, McTavish is really going to start like sprouting out and be a lot better player. But this kid is something special, and Ducks are lucky to have him. And I'm looking for. I keep telling you, the light at the end of the tunnel with Terry, Zegras, and now McTavish. It's going to be a great future for the Anaheim Ducks. And I know we're frustrated right now, but this kid's special, and I love seeing him play, and I love seeing him develop and be better and better each and every game.
Yeah, I agree, and yeah, you're right. You got Terry Zegras and McTavish, a core there. That could lead the way for the team, and kind of goes into the next little thing that some people talk about. If the Ducks are buyers or sellers at the trade deadline. That was Curtis Brown 7 asked on Instagram, and I still think they are sellers, but to what extent? And this kind of came up too on the DFO podcast recently. They were talking about this whole thing, the Ducks getting these young core players together, and then how is this rebuild going to go? And so they had actually talked about having Fowler be one that they would trade and maybe go speed it up and get a big return. But I don't know. It's kind of interesting to see that if they would try to do that. I don't know. I mean, they could get a huge return for Fowler, but then if you trade Fowler and then you're trying to trade Klingberg, you get rid of those guys. I don't know. Like now you're losing both those guys. So I think it could help the team and speed it up, but I think you'd still have to get somebody in return. That's why I don't see the Ducks doing that. I see them trading Klingberg first, and Fowler. I just don't see it. I think. Unless for some reason they decide to keep Klingberg instead, but I just don't see the Ducks trading both of them, Eddie.
No, you really can't. Like Klingberg was brought here for one reason. Everyone knew when he was brought over here, signing that 1-year deal for what he signed for. He was brought here just to facilitate a trade come the trade deadline. Ducks weren't going to be a contending team. I think everyone knew that. I said it the first show. And I apologize if some of you fans thought the Ducks were just going to turn a new leaf and do something different, but they weren't. It's just, you see what you have, the product you have on the ice, doesn't facilitate what's going to go on. Like, the league is really competitive, and there's a lot of teams that have actually superstar players that just pump it up, and the Ducks just got exposed. Last season was a fluke. Everyone thought the Ducks weren't anything like to reckon with. They didn't know Terry, didn't know Zegras. Zegras and Terry came in the league and just absolutely are becoming superstars. And now teams are on that, and teams take the Ducks a little more seriously than they did last season. So we had to take that into whole consideration. I think Fowler, I don't know, like me, maybe it's just like a personal attachment because he's been there. I think he's part of the future too. And I want to see him help this team get back to where we are and get back to the playoffs and help this team win a Stanley Cup. I want to see Fowler lift the Stanley Cup with the Ducks. That would be like so awesome to me to see that, especially all the hard work, the sweat, the blood, the injuries, everything he puts into this team. Yeah, like sometimes like we'll give him crap, like he has to step up more and stuff like that. But he does those little things that you need on the blue line, those little things that you don't really consider. It's not all about scoring goals or getting points. It's just doing everything, blocking shots, getting into the right corners, setting up a play, putting your body sacrifice. It's all those little things that he does. Like, he bleeds the Ducks, and he's passionate about that, and he loves his team, and we love him too.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's still part of the rebuild. I just don't see it. I mean, unless for some reason they want to extend Klingberg instead. But I don't see that. I just don't.
Mike,
I don't see that.
Do not say riot words close to Christmas. You don't want a riot to happen in Anaheim.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Maybe I want a riot to happen in Anaheim because I need some stuff from a hockey store over there. So.
Yeah.
Pure hockey.
Yeah, I just don't see it happening. One other player that I'll mention before we get to maybe some possible targets out there that they go for, but we had Puckluck17 asked about Henrique. Does he get moved? Henrique's the third leading goal scorer on the team, fourth in points. I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50 on Henrique. Obviously, he was going to get moved, it seemed, with Murray, getting scratched and all that kind of stuff. So I just don't know. I don't know about Henrique. I think I'd like to see him stay, but I wouldn't be surprised if he is moved, Eddie.
Yeah, same here. And I mentioned numerous times I think the Avalanche would be a best fit. I know they're going after bigger names, but I think he's one of those players that can solidify that second role or even a third role. The Avalanche, or the last time I checked, they were kind of the bottom, if not last, in the league in faceoffs. And Henrique was at 52% the last time I checked. I think his play style can fit their organization if they want to make a run again. I know they're dealing with a crap load of injuries, and they lead the league with the most players used to with 36. Like, that's how much injuries they have right now. I can't see him not getting moved at the deadline. There's going to be a lot of teams inquiring about him, especially teams that want to make that playoff push. The Devils have cooled off a lot lately, but I think they're still in the playoff mix. Maybe reunite them with him. Who knows? But I can't see Henrique being with the Ducks past the deadline, which I want to. I like Henrique. I think he's a good player. I think he has a lot to offer, and he could be a future with this team and help to rebuild. But I just can't see. I think a lot of teams are going to offer stuff that Verbeek can't just ignore.
Yeah, so it's another guy to look at. That I would lean more towards maybe possibly being moved. A couple targets here that have been mentioned. Kind of let you see what you think. They talked about Bor Horvat, Vancouver. And then, maybe Philly's a team to trade for the Ducks. James Van Riemdyk's there. That name has been around with the Ducks before in the past. And then Kevin Hayes as well. So those three names have popped out there. Nothing directly with the Ducks recently. But these are some names, Eddie, maybe some guys that the Ducks consider. What do you think?
Well, yeah, JVR has been the Ducks' radar since when Murray was back in our backseat over there when he was in Toronto. He's a 1-year deal left, $7 million. Maybe Philadelphia wants to unload him. He's having a pretty decent season. Kevin Hayes, leading point scorer for the Philadelphia Flyers, has been in Coach Tortorella's doghouse. He got healthy scratched the other game, which is weird. It's just yeah. But he's a 6'5" center. He's a big guy. I know he has he's still at 4 years at $7.142 million. But I think he's someone that can thrive on a better system. Tortorella, I love his bluntness, and I love how he is, but it seems like he's facilitates his own ego at sometimes. And why would you scratch your leading scorer for a mistake he's made here and there? So, I mean, it's one of those things where I wouldn't want the Ducks to pursue a 4-year contract at that cap hit, but it's something to consider if they can retain some salary for him, get him at 5 or yeah, I think $5 million would be a fair. He's a big center and he can kind of fill the gap that Getzlaf did, and he brings that physicality. He's leading the crap Philadelphia Flyers in points, so it's something to be looked at. JVR would be basically. I think with JVR would be maybe a 3-way trade. Ducks will retain him, get some salary and retain that salary, and then trade to another team, and then get some assets from Philadelphia. But yeah, that's something to do. And Bull Harvett, he's a special player. He's a good player. He's due for a raise. It seems like his time in Vancouver is up, and it's something that I think he can benefit the Ducks moving forward. And I think the Ducks should start moving and planning on players like this that can like help their future and help the rebuild. I'm not sure if he'll come to the Ducks, but I think it's a player that we should keep an eye on.
Yeah, I think all three. I mean, you made some good points there. I mean, there's some guys that could help the Ducks. I mean, yeah, some of the contracts are a little bit bigger, but we also have a lot of space. The Ducks could also be a broker for some teams in a three-way trade as well. We already had one three-way trade. Obviously, that was a small one, but they could be part of a bigger one, trying to help out. Because a lot of these teams are up against the cap. You've got a bunch of teams in the league that they don't have any money. So I could see the Ducks being involved in something crazy like that.
Yeah, and the cap next year is not going up anymore. It's going up like $1 million. It's not significant enough for teams to make moves.
It's projected. It sounds like 1 million, like you said. It's not a whole lot. You're right. So,
well, it is a whole lot for us, Mike. Like, give me $1 million, that'll be cool. We'll be down there with drinking that $10,000 spot at the Honda Center.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, there's just some other trade targets to look out there. Other teams' names that are floating around there that they may not come to the Ducks. They may go to other teams. So check those out. And then we had a couple more questions, kind of just about the Ducks and how they're doing. We had Nisrina Prahati on Instagram asked, will Eakins get fired? Like I said, I felt after that 7-0 game and the 3 losses in a row, I was kind of starting to think about it a little bit, but then they won those other ones. I don't think he will. I think the Ducks would have to go on a crazy losing streak. I mean, it was starting to get crazy there, and they got a couple W's in there, so I think they're okay. So I don't see it, Eddie. I still think that he's going to be there, whether you like it or not, unless Verbeek has got someone in mind that that's the guy, and he's going to take the team here and going forward. But just to fire him and bring in somebody temporarily, I just don't see him doing it.
Yeah, I don't either. But you know what? I'm for it now. I wasn't before. But now I'm thinking, okay, if you have a structure fire somewhere, you have to put it out quick. There's some fires, like those hot shots, that have to intentionally start fires to stop fires from happening. The Ducks are that hot shot fire over there. There's a fire going on, and we need to bring someone in that's going to divert that fire. I just don't want this team to get into bad habits, get used to losing, get used to the structure. He's not doing it for the Ducks for me at all. Like, he just going through the motions. It doesn't seem his team is responding to him anymore. I think he's a great players coach. He's all about fitness too. He gets that point across to them. But I get the whole tank, and I want the tank to happen. I want a potential first overall pick. But I just don't want this team to get used to losing and just kind of, I forgot the word for it. But just, I don't say generalized. That's not the right word I'm looking for. But it just, some of the things he's doing, it's either he's intentionally trying to get the Ducks to lose, or if he's not, then dude, you need to get the hell out of coaching. But I read some stuff from Oilers fans commenting on what's going on. That I guess he did something similar to the Edmonton Oilers when he was coaching them too. I agree with you, Mike. I don't think he gets fired, but I think some kind of change has to happen. I'm not saying bring in a big name coach and a full-time permanent coach, but bring an interim coach is just gonna change the whole outcome and change the style and get get these players used to something different. Obviously, he's not going to be the coach next season. If he is, I'll be surprised. I don't know. I'll probably get his portrait tattooed on my ass if he's the coach for next season. That's how confident. I don't think he'll be the coach next season, but it just something has to change. You get blanked by Toronto and Ottawa, and nothing happens. You keep running this 11-7. I made that joke too on Twitter. Ducks are going to run 12-7 and one goalie. Like, it just, you never know with him. I don't know. Thank you, Coach, for everything you've done for our team, but I think it's time for the Ducks to move a different direction. I'm not saying hire a permanent coach. Bring someone in to let's see how the Ducks do with a different system, and let's see what works, and start like molding what's going to work for this type of player. I mean, obviously we have to build the team around Zegras. Like, Zegras is our franchise player, and see what's going to work with him. But it just, yeah, we can't keep doing this with him. It's just the same thing, 11-7, the same bullshit. It's not going to work. We have to start thinking about the future. Yeah, maybe next season not going to be a Stanley Cup season, but I want improvement. I want more wins. We want as fans. We want some kind of trending upwards. If not, then we'll just walk backwards on a treadmill, and it's not going to work out. Trust me. I've tried it once. Drunk.
Well, and then we had John Torres 343 asked, are we happy with the direction that Verbeek's taking the club? And I've started to see some people post in the comments that they're not happy with Verbeek now and the way that things are going. And I think part of that goes into the whole thing with Akins, like you talked about, him being in there. And, if he's not going to be the guy next season, then, like, what are we kind of waiting for? So what is your take? I mean, you kind of went over that, but do you see anything Verbeek should be doing different outside of the coaching, Eddie?
No, I think he's fine. I think he needs to, in my opinion, he needs to change something up right now with the coaching staff. Just to see, and not just like change it up for more wins, to see what kind of system and what kind of coach that's going to work for this team. That's what I want to see. Obviously, he has Geiserman to lean on, like that success from him. I want to see now. It's just, where are you gonna bring this team? Where are you training this team at? Are you just gonna okay? Yeah, I get it. We're tanking. We're a bottom feeder team, and we want the first overall pick. I get that, but what next? We can't just keep writing this coach and making excuses for him. Like, we have to do something different. I think he's doing a good job with this team, and he's made some good moves, and he brought a lot of assets to this team that's going to pay dividends in the future. I want him to, I guess I want more open line of communication and let him know what the plan is for this team. The coaching staff, and I always said that I don't want the coach to be fired, but what I'm seeing the last few games has been atrocious, and it's something that we can't let our players get in the habit of. We have to start, I guess, experimenting what kind of coaching system is going to work with our players, and go from there. Bring an interim coach and see if a different system changes what works, and start molding this team. Like, this team has something special. We have special players: McTavish, Zegras, Terry, Dostal, Gibson. Still, he hasn't played well because the team in front of him, but he still has a lot of hockey left in him too. He's a good goaltender. Like, we have to start thinking ahead. And yes, we're rebuilding, but let's start molding something to get our direction forward. Like I keep saying, you move forward, you walk backwards on a treadmill. It's just, you're gonna land flat in your face. Like, something has to give now, and obviously the coaching staff is our head coach isn't working. Just 11-7 bullshit too. I can't stand that crap. Like, it's like, what next? Like, you're gonna have 15 defensemen dress and hope that works. I know, we all hate Murray, but keep throwing spaghetti at the wall and see if it sticks. Like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the lineup has been tough, and it kind of goes back to even with Teemu, talking about picking up that Finnish player, Ellie. I mean, if they would have gotten him, they wouldn't have been down. I mean, they didn't know that Jones was going to go out and whatnot. I mean, it's 2020, but even then, he could have pulled up someone from the goals as well to kind of facilitate that instead of just riding with the 7 defenseman situation. Which, I mean, it's worked out here and there, but overall, it has not. So. I'm really curious to see the direction of the trade deadline too coming up, what the team's going to do. And speaking of the goals are another one that, man, they've been struggling too. They're down at the bottom of the AHL. They signed a couple players to PTOs, but we got Thomas. He's always writing his little articles covering that. But I mean, it's been a tough go down in San Diego, Eddie. It's been rough. I mean, so if you're Ducks fans and Gulls fans, I mean, there's just not been a lot to cheer about, unfortunately, lately.
Yeah, I'm looking for a badminton team to start following and stuff like that. You know what? I almost got so desperate to watch the World Cup. I'm so kidding. No, I'm just kidding. I don't watch soccer, but yeah, it's just like the goals, the Ducks. It's just, oh man, it's so hard. I tweeted too a few weeks ago. Like I'm afraid to check the ECHL team. I think it's Tulsa. I don't even know their damn team. I should know that, but I'm afraid to check that. But you know what? I keep saying, and I'm like a glass half empty kind of person, but with the Ducks, I'm a glass half full, and I know this is going to be temporarily, and I know the Ducks are just going to explode and be just dominant, and we're going to win a cup soon, and I'm looking forward to that. So, hey, Mike, you know what? I have a fan question, too, if I may. Oh, actually, I have two. The first one I read on DucksNPucks. Why are you so sexy? And who asked that question? And no, seriously. So I think this is our last show, maybe of the year, right? I'm looking at the calendar. Unless we do a show next week.
Yeah, this might be the last one, depending on. Well, we'll see. We might do one more. I don't know. It just depends.
Well, so what's your New Year's resolution if we don't do another show?
Oh, if we don't do another show, my New Year's resolution. For me, I guess just try to lose a little bit more weight. I mean, I lost some, but then gained some back. So for me, I need to get healthy, not being sick, because I've been on and off sick, but lose weight for me, Eddie. What about you?
I just want to upgrade everything in my life. Like upgrade myself, upgrade everything. And with me, I believe in if you want to make change starts right now. That's why I've been hitting the gym. I've been doing some other stuff to clear my mind and social stuff like that. But yeah, I think the biggest thing I want to do is I want to be a better person each and every day than I was the day before. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's very good. All right, let's see here. We'll get to the last segment here. Again, just don't forget the Old City Sports Network podcast. We also are a Fanatics affiliate. If you go to the pinned tweet on Twitter, you can go in there and get a discount on Ducks gear, so check that out. All right, so the Board of Governors did meet recently, and they talked about the NHL and some of the things. You did mention the salary cap earlier, Eddie. Some other things they talked about was expanding the season from 82 games to 84, and then also expanding the playoffs, possibly making it like baseball, where maybe you have a team squares off against one team, and then the winner of that would then be the team that would go in, and they'd go into the traditional format after that. And I don't know. I'm not really a fan of any of this. I think hockey's a brutal sport. I don't think that they should extend the season. I mean, it's already crazy at 82 games. And I'm not a fan of the whole playoff thing that they were talking about. The thing that they do in baseball, I don't like it either. Honestly, I think it's lame because you give a team that, say, is the 6th seed or 8th seed, depending on whatever sport you're playing in, and they earn the right to be in the playoffs, and then you have a team that has 5 or 6 less wins, and now all of a sudden they get a chance to go in when this other team played better. I don't know. I mean, you might have two teams that are like within one win or something like that, and it might not be a big deal, but depending on what kind of gap you allow or how it unfolds, I just don't like it. And I don't like the whole one-game playoff thing. I think that's dumb. I think if you're going to do anything like that, then just make more rounds and have more teams and just go crazy, which even that I don't really like. But I'm just really not a fan of either one of these things, Eddie.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be old man yells at cloud, because I'm not old, but stop changing the damn game. This game has been perfect for how many years? This game has been the greatest sport in the world. If you're trying to expand to new fans and get more fans to love this sport, then stop making it so gosh damn hard for fans to watch the effing game. You know what? No, the fucking games. My first F word of the show. I can say. It's so frustrating reading on Twitter, reading on Facebook, on Instagram, reading our group chat that fans can't watch the games without having to jump through hoops. if you want to change anything in hockey, make it accessible for different people and different, not just fans, but random people to watch the damn games. I want to walk into a bar, see hockey played, and every time I ask for a game, it's like a jump through hoops. Like, oh, and I'm not talking about Ducks games or anything. I'm talking about like random, like just like there's so many people that I talk to at bars that I talk to that don't even know about hockey, and their whole thing is like, oh, well, I can't get the game, or like I don't have this, I don't have that. Basketball, football, baseball, the world, soccer, every other sport. I bet you I can find a effing badminton game right now on just regular TV. Like, dude, if you want to change the game and change the NHL, then make it accessible for all the fans to see different people. Just 84 games. Like, what's that going to do? 84 games of not having of blackouts, not having fans be able to watch the game. You can't even put this game for fans. And I'm sorry, Mike, if I'm going on a rant. I'm just getting sick and tired of people seeing people complain about this, and not complain. They have every right to complain. Just fans can't watch the games. If fans can't watch the games, new fans that you're trying to get won't watch the games because they can't get it. But now you want to make changes to this, 84 games or no hitting or something like that. Oh, this is bullshit, man. You want this league to thrive? Start making it more accessible, not adding more games or changing the format. That's the issue. I think that this commissioner needs to go. Like I don't know what's going on in his ass. He's probably doing drugs or something because he's obviously not trying to like reach out and grow this game. And my rant's over.
No, you're fine. I mean, I feel the same way. I don't like when they try to make stuff more inclusive. Where you have to join this, program or this, broadcasting network or subscribe to this, and you gotta jump into this little group here to be included in everything. I'm not a big fan of that. They should expand it and not try to make it these little select groups of media outlets and whatnot. So I'm with you on that. And this is all just about more money anyways. That's all that it is with all of it. I mean, you have to pay to go to these groups to watch the games. Now they want more games in the regular season playoffs. It all comes down to money. We all know that's what it is. So I hope they don't do it, but they probably will. Couple former Ducks news. We had Rickard Rakell. He's on Pittsburgh. He had his 600th NHL game. So congrats to him. And then kind of a weird thing. I guess we never really found out about this, but you found this, Eddie, is that Brendan Goalie, who used to play for the Ducks, he retired, and he's only 25 years old. Crazy.
That's awesome. I wish when I was 25 I could retire, but he retired for personal reasons, so I really hope, like, whatever that is, I just kind of hope he finds himself, and I hope he has success in the future. I know a lot of athletes and players, sometimes it gets to you, all the training, all the stuff you've done. I'm just a beer league player, and sometimes like playing beer league gets to me, and life gets to you. So I just wish him all the best and stuff like that. And hopefully he finds whatever he has to find and goes from there. If you guys don't remember, we got Goalie from the Sabres in change for Brandon Montour and a 2019 first round pick. That was Braden Tracy. The Sabres went ahead and traded him, Brandon Montour, to the Panthers for a third round pick. So, Goalie, I hope you have a good retirement if that's the case. If not, I hope you find what you're looking for and come back if you want to. But I wish you nothing but the best, and thank you for your time in Anaheim.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see, a couple other things around the league here. We had, Montreal. They're going to honor PK Subban on January 12th. I don't know the specifics. Do you know the specifics on this, Eddie? What are they going to do? Are they going to retire his jersey, or what are they doing?
No, they're just going to, I guess, honor him. He was a badass player in Montreal. He did like that I think he had donated $100 million to that children's hospital. So it's like that's awesome for him. He did sign a contract with ESPN to be an analyst, and he's been doing pretty well, I've seen. So it's good for them and their whole community to honor him, especially with that children's hospital. Like, you guys can, like, I'm not a big fan of him. I think he's a selfish player. But what he did for that children's hospital, no one in the world can overlook that. Like, that was something awesome. So I'm glad that he's going to get recognition and honor for that. And congratulations to him and the Montreal Canadiens for that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the off-ice stuff you definitely have to look at as well as the on-ice stuff. We had another retirement too. Andrew Hammond, the hamburger, from Ottawa. So kind of interesting to see him go. You know, he had a pretty good run in his career. He's 34, Eddie, when with him announcing his retirement.
Yeah, he signed with ironically the Canadians. We just got done talking about. He had an ankle injury that he just really couldn't come back from. But yeah, he was a great story. He signed as an undrafted free agent. He came into the league and he went to his first starts due to injuries, going 14-0-1. He didn't allow more than 2 goals in those 13 of those, and he helped the Ottawa Senators get to the playoffs. My biggest memory of him when the Avalanche traded Matt Duchene, that 3-way trade to Nashville and Ottawa, he was back to the Avalanche. The Avalanche had 2 of their goalies go down. I think it was Game 5 in the Nashville series, and the Hamburgers just stood on his head and stole the game. Unfortunately, the Avalanche lost in that series, but he had some special moments, and it sucks that an injury has to take a player like that out. But congratulations to him on making it as an undrafted player and his success that he had, and I wish him all the best too.
And then we also had Ovechkin getting his 800th goal. He got a hat trick in that game to get that goal, which congrats to him. But I think the funny storyline about this is people like trying to tear him down because of empty net goals, Eddie. It just blows my mind that they're actually like discussing this.
Well, there's always going to be haters. Like, Ovechkin's the most prolific goal scorer. Like, everyone knows what he's going to do, and they just don't take him. Every goalie knows his shot, and his shot, I don't know. I think Ovechkin's going to go down as the greatest goal scorer in NHL history. Even Gretzky wants that. I said this numerous times on another show too. Gretzky actually leads the whole like NHL whatever record on empty net points. So it's with 85. Crosby's with 68, and then Wheeler with 67. So it's just congratulations to him. Like, you guys are just being haters, be haters. You have some haterade. I have some good flavors if you want. But you know what? I think Ovechkin's going to break this record, and he's best goal scorer of our time, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think it's funny because, I don't know. Just trying to tear him down, it just cracks me up. But yeah, I mean, he's amazing. I'm curious to see how many he will get eventually. Lastly, I guess kind of a funny thing to end the show on with is you had one of the linesmen in Toronto, Dan Kelly. He pushed Michael Bunting into the tunnel after Bunting was getting all animated after altercation. I just thought it was kind of funny because it was almost like the ref committed a penalty against him, Eddie.
Oh, yeah, that was, that kind of ticked me off a little bit. Like, if Bunting would have touched the ref, Kelly, it'd have been like whole controversy. And the way Kelly pushed him aggressively like that, it's like, dude, come on. You can't do that. And you know this player can't touch you back because it'd be a abuse on an official. I'll tell you one story real quick, and I won't go into that much detail, but one ref that put their hands on me got their ass kicked, and I knocked him out. And this one, okay, I'll tell a story. This one game in Colorado, we had a big old fight and brawl. I got kicked out, whatever. I'm good with that. I was defending a teammate, and I dropped my gloves, and yeah, whatever. I'm skating out, and this guy is skating over there by the glass, calling my one of my best friend's wife's a bitch. I'm not gonna let that fly. It's my best friend, so I go walk out, and the ref grabs me, puts his hand on my throat. Game on, dude. You touch me, I knock him out. I'm kicked out of that league permanently. I don't care. It was worth it. You touch a player like that the way he did, you should get some kind of discipline. But it's like nothing. Dan Kelly played against Michael Bunting too in the AHL. He also had a 10-game suspension too on a hit with a Toronto Marlies player. So it's just, and the league's not really commenting on that or doing anything about that. But Michael Bunting, if you would have knocked out Dan Kelly, and I want to see one of the linesmen and refs knocked out because they've just been pissing me off for the last few seasons. But that was kind of bad to see, and I don't know. The league has to do something about that.
Yeah, I was surprised that nothing happened with it. It was interesting. I thought it was a little bit much. So if you didn't see it, go back and check out that play, and you'll see it's kind of hilarious, but it's kind of annoying at the same time. So that'll do it. That'll wrap up the show. Just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. Don't forget to check out our patreon.com/DucksNPucks. You can sign up on there for stuff. And just thank you for all the support. And if we don't see you guys until New Year's, then that'll be it. And, we'll see you then. We might try to squeeze in a show beforehand, but we'll see how our schedules are. And as always, let's go Ducks.